Finance Minister and Congress MP Adhir Ranjan Chowdhury had a fierce face-off in the Parliament. That's Nirmala Sitharaman versus Adhir Ranjan Chowdhury. On centre versus opposition, ruled states, particularly the southern states, naming Karnataka. There's been a bitter to and fro between Karnataka and the centre of late on financial dues. The share of taxes allotted to the state. Remember, there was a statement by our top Congress leader recently from Karnataka that said the stepmotherly treatment may force southern states to demand for a separate country. Immediately rubbished by the BJP leaders at the centre as well as Congress leaders themselves, including in fact Prime Minister Modi's rebuff at the Parliament, part of the big poll bugle as well and the attack on the opposition. However, it's not just Karnataka. At different times, different states, and particularly all southern states at some point, have raised these allegations of differential treatment, of allegedly being deprived of taxes, dependent, of being choked of fiscal freedom, accusing centre of violating federal principles. Now, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman hit back strongly at Adhir Ranjan Chowdhury, saying as a finance minister, she has no role, has to follow the Finance Commission and the rules and regulations, and can't be changing anything on her whims and fancies on whether she likes one state or not. Before we go any further, let's first listen in.
Non-BJP ruled states are being deprived from having their legitimate due. The latest example is Karnataka, where the entire ministry has been agitating against the indiscriminate and arbitrary attitude of your administrations. They are alleging that they are being famished by sheer discrimination being played from your ministry. I would like to know whether state government of Karnataka has been deprived from obtaining their legitimate due.
Adhir ji, please understand, I don't have the right to change as per my whims and fancies, that I like a state or this state is against my party politics and therefore, no way. I have no role. In fact, I would have to follow it 100%. And that's what I've done in my term here. And that's what every finance minister does in their term. Finance Commission giving recommendation, that which I have to implement, it is done without any kind of fear or favor or anything like that. So this apprehension that some states are being discriminated against is a politically vitiated narrative which, I'm sorry to say, vested interests are happy to go about saying it. There's just not a possibility that any finance minister can intervene to say, I don't like this state, stop the payment. No way. It cannot happen that way.
Now, which are the states that have the highest tax allocation? Uttar Pradesh at around 17.93%, Bihar 10%, Madhya Pradesh around 7.85%, West Bengal 7.5%, Maharashtra 6.3%, Rajasthan 6%. Now, which are the states that are allotted the lowest from the tax pool? All northeast states, excluding Assam. Southern states like Kerala are just about or below 1.9%. Telangana around 2%, Karnataka around 3.6%, and Tamil Nadu and Andhra around 4%. I'm saying this also because there have been allegations from southern states at different points. Punjab is at around 1.8%. But is this really an issue? Now, Kerala passed a budget today, and the finance minister has said that the state is staring at a financial crisis and has hit out at the centre. I'm being joined right now by K.N. Balagopal, the finance minister. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. You've alleged and accused the centre of a hostile approach, of not giving Kerala its due. What do you really mean by this?
15th Finance Commission decided for 1.9% for state of Kerala from the divisive pool. And at the time of 10th Finance Commission, it was around 3.82 or something. So it is only 50% of the original means 10th Finance Commission. So year by year, we lost around 50%. Means if it would have been 3.8 like earlier, we could have received around 20,000 crore more this year.
Now, there are some who have been raising allegations that it's against southern states. But there's a Finance Commission formula behind all of this, even what you have mentioned per se. Do you see this as particularly against the southern states?
This is not allegation, these are facts. And these facts are not only coming from southern states, from other states like earlier from Rajasthan it was there, to some extent some other states, from Bengal. See, BJP states or non-BJP states you can say, not about southern states or northern states. BJP ruled states and non-BJP states are there. We feel that there is some kind of political difference, because many examples are there. In such a discussion, I cannot give all the details. For example, I can say 3 years back our grant was 30,000 crores. This year it is only 11,000 crores. And if you take the state finances report of the Reserve Bank of India, out of the total tax receipt, Kerala is getting 79 rupees from Kerala's own collection and 21 rupees from the centre's part, while some other states are getting 50 rupees, 60 rupees out of 100. So these are issues which is to be discussed very seriously. That is what we are raising this issue. This is for strengthening the unity of the country. And I know as a member of the GST Council, states are raising these issues, but openly BJP ruled states will not come out with this kind of an open statement because of the political reasons. When we have to say, we have to speak. That is why we are saying this.
Right. Now, Finance Minister has claimed that these allegations are an attempt to hide the financial malpractices, particularly in some states like Kerala, that, you know, the ministry has claimed as the reason behind the financial crisis that they really are staring at.
How will we assess about the financial crisis of a particular place or state? See, if you are considering about the capacity of finances, the effectiveness of the administration, see, our borrowing, whether we are in the red, no, in the continuously last 3 years, our total borrowing to GSDP is coming down. What is the borrowing? What would be the borrowing next year of this union government? As per budget document, it is 5.1%. What is our borrowing now? In the coming year, it will be 3%. So this is very much within the limit. Then how can one say that state government is mismanaged finances? And what is the revenue generation aspect? Our taxation income 3 years back, state on tax revenue was 47,000 crores. We increased it up to 71,000 crores within 2 years, 50% increase in 2 years. How can we say that this is mismanagement? So if you take the criteria regarding the performance of a state, these all are major issues, I think. So these issues, without discussing about these issues, if you are saying that this is mismanagement, this is financial crisis, you cannot say like that.
Yeah. Minister, you've presented a budget in the state. Do you have the funds to run the state? You've been claiming that that there are no funds. There's a financial crisis in the state as such. Do you have the funds?
So if you don't have enough money to run the government, and that is not because of any wrongdoing of the state, then it is the responsibility of the union government. I am not quarreling. I am saying that we don't want to quarrel also. Because it is the union government to take into consideration about the financial performance. And the Reserve Bank of India also said that the consolidation, financial consolidation is the state is very much improved.
Right, and I'm being joined right now by Satya Prakash. Thank you very much, Finance Minister, for joining us. But I'm also being joined by Satya Prakash, the spokesperson for Congress. And we'll be joined by others as well on this panel. But to you, Satya Prakash, first, what really are the allegations by you all? Because as the minister, as the finance minister in the parliament has said, these things are not changed by the whims and fancies. So what really is your allegation?
Okay, Sneha ji, let me give you a few examples. 5 years back, the devolution of tax that happened to Gujarat was 22,000 crores. The devolution in that particular year, Karnataka got around 32 to 33,000 crores. I'm talking of 2018-19, that period. Today, after 4 or 5 years, Gujarat has gone up from 22,000 crores to 34,000 crores, while Karnataka is still stagnant at 34,000 crores. That means during the 14th Finance Commission, we used to get 4.77% of the total pie. Today, we are getting 3.64%, straight away 1.07% less. Why the home state of the Prime Minister is given this stepmotherly treatment is all I am asking. How can Gujarat get 50% more devolution of tax from 14th Commission to Finance Commission to 15th Finance Commission? And why Karnataka, which contributes the second highest taxes to the center, suffer being stagnant for the last 4 or 5 years is my question. We contribute the second highest.
All right, Surabhi Hodigere joins us right now. No, point taken, sir. Let me just get in the initial response as well. Surabhi Hodigere, the spokesperson for BJP, joins us. How do you counter what the Congress and the left both have alleged, that how are funds that or the funds that the states are supposed to receive, how are they being stagnant for some while the stakes for the others are increasing?
No, I mean, it's a very, it's unnecessary to really counter it because the premise in itself is wrong. This is not something that the central government has decided per se. This is the equation that the Finance Commission, the 15th Finance Commission, which was constituted as a statutory body as per, the rules and regulations. This is not something that the Prime Minister has sat personally and decided for them to turn it into a political issue that they have right now. The question is, why is it that Sitharaman's government has at this point in time come up with this as the sole issue that matters to them during the 2024 election? It's precisely because there is no other way to counter the popularity that the Prime Minister has here in Karnataka. And this is an issue, might I say, that Sneha, that they pick up every single time that there is an election here. The Sitharaman-led Congress party, the government here, picks up some sort of divisive issue where they want to, pitch this us against them. There is no, if I were to ask the Congress spokesperson that, yes, Karnataka contributes a significant share to the national pool of taxes. Same way, Bengaluru contributes a significant share to Karnataka's pool of taxes. Does that mean that Bengaluru has to get X amount and Kalyana Karnataka, Kittur Karnataka, all these places that have development indices which are much lower, does that mean that Bengaluru should not be sharing with all of these regions? Of course not. Why this divisive talk in the finance?
Point is taken, but let me also, since both of you have mentioned this, let me also just explain the formula to our viewers at this point before I get in others as well, if I go back to Congress on this. What is the formula for sharing revenues that has been brought in by the Finance Commission? And if we can have the graphics on air as well. There are certain criteria which are used to decide for states. Income distance, 45%. Population, the weightage is 15%. Area, 15%. Demographic performance, 12.5%. Forest and ecology, 10%. So there is a formula based on which different states have been allocated certain... yes, please go ahead, sir. Please respond.
Look at that skewed this thing. How can for tax effort you give 2.5%? That is where Karnataka is exactly suffering. Karnataka is the best performing state after Maharashtra, in spite of contributing 4.1 lakh crores, just because you have given a 2.5% the weightage for tax effort, for the effort that we do. That is why Karnataka is suffering. Gujarat is not a poor state. Gujarat is a relatively good state. On the basis of Gujarat model only, this Prime Minister has come to power in 2014 and 19. How come Gujarat got 50% more in the devolution of taxes in the last 5 years? How come Karnataka's tax devolution has remained the same for the last 5 years? It is like that, like
Can I
mehnat kari
clarify
murgi,
from the Congress?
Mr.
anda
Ruby, do you
khaya
want to
fakir.
respond to this?
The South
No, one
states
second.
will do all the hard work, while Modi and Amit Shah will give all the under
All
to
right,
the
let me just
Gujarat,
get in, Ms. Surbi.
and they will give to the
No,
states
I just
where they are
look.
ruling.
No, let me
This
just
is
get in,
being
Ms.
said
Surbi.
again and
So,
again.
Ms. Surbi,
I would
one
like-
of the things that it's not just Karnataka. Ms. Surbi, just a minute. And it's not really just Karnataka versus centre at this point. Of course, the latest state to enter this is Karnataka. But if you look at all southern states, all of them at some point have raised it. And as the Kerala finance minister said on the show, it's not south versus the north, but it's what seems to be non-BJP ruled states versus BJP ruled states. And what they have said or they have alleged is the BJP ruled states will not come out with this so-called quote-unquote injustice because of the political loyalties that are involved. So it's not really Karnataka versus the centre, and I just want to make this straight. But over the past 4 months itself, all have come in. But Ms. Surbi, come in. Do you want to respond to what the Congress leader has said?
First and foremost, this whole argument that this is Modi and Amit Shah led is a completely false argument that really needs to be nipped in the bud. Second, you spoke about a formula. The revenue sharing formula in the 14th Finance Commission was, in fact, had given 27.5% to the population. So I don't know what the Congress spokesperson is trying to imply over here. The Finance Commission has come
I'm
up with this
talking at the
formula in
tax
order to
effort.
make sure that there's
Look at
equitable
what you
revenue sharing across the country. This is same to what would happen in a state, whether it's Karnataka or Tamil Nadu or Andhra Pradesh. If all the taxes are coming from major cities such as Chennai, you would want some more taxes to be, some revenue to go elsewhere as well. I don't understand why this is a duty that we must be obliged towards. It's not something that is it should not be a burden. I'm telling you very sincerely, I'm a Bengaluru citizen. Definitely my city pays more tax than anywhere else in Karnataka. But does that mean it gives me the right to say no, tomorrow money is not going to go elsewhere? And let me come back to this argument and conversation that the southern states are trying to make, which is that money should not go to the north. What is there's so many southern states that are producing this sort of revenue and producing tax collection. In Bengaluru, for example, there's so many people who are registered companies here but are earning revenue elsewhere. That does not mean that the audit has to show in a particular place and they're showing in the place that they're registered. That does not mean that we have to punish people for not who are not from the south of India. And these very parties, and I'd like to just specifically point out to the Congress that for how many years has the Congress ruled in places such as Uttar Pradesh? Hasn't Nehru been elected there many times as the first prime minister with a lot of pride? It is not. If you had solved for the problem of the states that were growing slower than if there was equitable development for 60 to 70 years, then we wouldn't be in this situation. And again, I will mention this. The Finance Commission is a statutory body that is not anything to do with Prime Minister Modi or Amit Shah. This false statement is going on and on. I don't understand why the Congress in Karnataka is bereft.
All right, I am right now
of
being
any-
joined. Okay, allow me to interrupt you at this point, ma'am. I'm being joined right now by Jagdish Shettigar, who's a senior economist and former member for Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council to the Government of India. Thank you very much, Jagdish Shettigar, for joining us. My first question to you, amid all of this political to and fro that's been happening on this show and even in the parliament and even outside the parliament, my first question to you is, how do you look at this one allegation that seems to be coming up again and again, that the Modi government seems to have squeezed the funds of certain states arbitrarily? As an economist, as an advisor to the government, how do you see this? A former government.
I think it is a baseless allegation. Whether it is with the BJP-led government or the Congress-led government, principle has been that the fund is distributed among the states on the basis of the recommendations of the Finance Commission. The Finance Commission keeps changing the formula. Right now, whatever the formula is suggested, like on the basis of income or the population or the poverty, there are certain criteria, and each Finance Commission changes the criteria. Now, as far as the Finance Commission is concerned, let us not forget that it is a constitutional body, and whatever the recommendation Finance Commission makes, it is a binding on the government. And apart from that, and the whole distribution, it is a fully transparent process. Now, when the finance minister presents the budget, under which category or which sector of the economy, so that they cannot discriminate on the basis of any company or an individual or any state. Distribution is not made on the basis of state. It is as per the principle. And moreover, there is a Niti Aayog. Earlier, Planning Commission was there. Now the Niti Aayog, deals with the distribution of the resources with the states. And most importantly, how can these people forget the principle of the equity, which has been accepted, for years, decades old, the principle, it is not only in India, throughout the world, there is a principle of the equity. Now, if we go by their argument that one state contributes more to the exchequer and they are not getting proportionate to their contribution, then what about the poor states? Now, within their state also, there are different districts have got a different levels when it comes to the distribution of the resources within the state. Do they consider the contribution of the each district?
Okay.
They don't.
Allow me to interrupt you,
and
sir.
In fact, that is the principle.
Allow me to interrupt you. And of course, Satya Prakash here on the show has something to counter to that. Sir,
or it may be individual who contributes the highest amount of the income tax. Now, does it mean that the government should keep in mind his contribution to the income tax when it comes to making the favor? It cannot. And in that case, the poor people cannot. We cannot take the care of.
No, you're making a point, Jagdish Shettigar, but allow me to come in at this point. And before I go to Satya Prakash, let me just ask you one more question before I take it to Satya Prakash. Now, whether it be Satya Prakash or even K.N. Balagopal, who was on this show, the Finance Minister of Kerala, there's one thing that both seem to be making, and that is the criteria for this formula. The division or the distribution of the various aspects in this formula is extremely skewed. This is the allegation that they are raising, and while the states are raising this up with the center, there seems to be no dialogue, whether it be as the members of the as a committee as well. One response from you before I go over to Satya Prakash. Satya Prakash, I'll just come back to you. Let me just ask a second question to Jagdish Shettigar before I come to you, because he joined us late. Jagdish Shettigar, how do you explain this?
No, when the Finance Commission comes out with the formula, they interact with each and every state, and then only they will finalize. Now, if somebody does not agree with the formula suggested by the Finance Commission, the right forum is to raise this issue, the finance. Now, recently, the new Finance Commission has been announced. Now, if the states have got any grievances, they should raise this issue with the new Finance Commission before they are finalizing it. And it is wrong to say that the Finance Commission has recommended on the basis of under the dictation of the central government. It is not.
Okay.
Central
All
government
right, sir.
has nothing
Let me just get in let me just get in Satya Prakash. I'm totally running out of time. Thank you for explaining that point. Satya Prakash, respond please.
Snehaji, what we should understand is Modi has indulged himself in a very big loot. I will tell you why. Cess and surcharge is today 25% of the total collections we make. Cess and surcharge doesn't come into the tax devolution. 25% of the revenue doesn't come into the tax devolution itself. Thereby, all the states are suffering. 62% of the total revenue collected is collected by the center. Only 38% is collected by the states after the new GST which has come. While the spending is 62% is done by the states and only 38% is done by the center. This difference, has to come from devolution of tax to the states. When you increase the cess and surcharge from 10% during UPA to 25%. That means if Karnataka is giving 4 lakhs to the kitty, 1 lakh, that means 25% of that is cess and surcharge. It doesn't come into the tax and devolution. That is where Sitharaman and Modi is responsible for this great loot of the southern states. It doesn't only, not only the southern states that are suffering, even Maharashtra is suffering. Maharashtra is the topmost contributor to this country. Karnataka is the second highest. Every finance commission.
Okay. All right.
During 14 finance commission, we got 34 crores. During 15 finance commission also, we are getting 35,000 crores. While 14th finance commission, Gujarat got 22,000 crores. How did it go to 34,000 crores in the 15th finance commission? You tell me.
Okay.
It is arbitrary.
Last question to Surbhi Hodigere. I just about have less than a minute to wrap this up. Ms. Surbhi, would you now see this as a huge political issue as the states go to elections? It's a big election year. You have the opposition raising this up. They are saying they are not getting what is their due. Of course, they are saying that they have raised this up at different forums, but it's been a unilateral decision because the BJP has a majority at almost all platforms. Whatever the politics around this be, the truth remains that the opposition is making some allegations. Do you see this as a big counter that needs to be taken to the public ahead of the election?
It has no resonance with the public, Sneha. Let me just tell you, the very argument on cess and surcharge, for example, it's not like the BJP came up with the cess and surcharge as a, in the last 9 years. It's been around. It's not that there's no hold in this argument, and saying a lie 100 times is what I'm noticing that the Congress is doing here, has become their strategy, because there is no counter to the great work done by the Prime Minister across the country without any sort of, inequality from against anybody. So the point here is that the Prime Minister's popularity is rising, and Sitharaman and Congress and everywhere else, this whole opposition is lacking issues. If the Congress spokesperson here is speaking about, the difference in funds, how can he explain the fact that the grants in aid has significantly increased for Karnataka? There has been a lot of different initiatives, projects that have come in here in Karnataka during the last 9 years. That is not, this whole stepmotherly treatment argument absolutely does not hold any ground. The Congress party
totally
in Karnataka,
out of time. I'm totally out of time. Thank you very much for joining, all three of you. This has been an allegation that has been going on. There's been counters to this. We've tried to bring you a voice of reason as well, and as an economist. However, this is definitely going to be an issue that is going to see much more allegations and counter rise ahead of the big elections. Also, an issue that has direct bearing on voters and taxpayers. Thank you very much for joining us. Time for a short break. On the other side, all the updates.